The night belongs to the hag. In Russian folklore, a terrible crone roams the forest, frightful in appearance, with iron teeth, a grotesquely large nose, and taloned feet. The Baba Yaga, as the Russians call her, is said to leave her hut on the edge of the forest to cast punishment on the wicked and the cursed. This is the flight of the witch. The Baba Yaga is only one of many forms that this harbinger of the occult takes. To a modern pagan, the feminine force is symbolically captured in the maiden, mother, and crone. These three are a reference to the triple goddess concept in Neopaganism and modern witchcraft. The maiden aspect symbolizes youth, independence, and new beginnings, and this aspect is associated with the waxing moon and the spring season. Then there is the mother, who represents fertility, maturity, and nurturing. She is associated with the full moon and summer seasons, as well as the idea of giving birth to creativity in all its pursuits. And finally, the crone, the old woman embodying wisdom, transformation, and the end of life cycles. The waning moon and the autumn season, making the archetypal witch symbol of an old woman with the knowledge of dark forces, a perfect symbol for the Halloween season. Or as the initiated Wiccan would call it, Samhain. But what does it mean to call someone a witch? And do true witches still walk among us? Witchcraft can be defined as a worship of nature and its dual gods, the Divine Mother and her male counterpart, the Horned One, Cernunnos, also known as the Green Man. And if you haven't seen my video, Revenge of the Green Man, I'll link it here. Though practitioners of witchcraft have varied slightly in different cultures throughout history, they usually employ healing and medicine, but also spell casting and connecting to spiritual forces and speaking to the dead. In the distant past, consulting dead spirits was considered especially dangerous, as was the case with the legendary witch of Endor. Little is actually known about her, but the book of Samuel expounds on an encounter with this mystic figure. King Saul, the first king of Israel, was in a dire situation as the Philistine army was about to wage war against Israel. He prayed to God without a response, and feeling desperate and abandoned by God, he sought out the guidance of the famed witch of Endor. However, the king himself had banished such practices as divination and magic, but he visited her in secret. Saul asked the witch to summon the spirit of the deceased prophet Samuel. The medium agrees and begins her rituals, and to her shock and the amazement of Saul, the spirit of Samuel appears. But instead of a battle strategy, the dead prophet gives Saul a prophecy of doom. He tells him that his disobedience to God has led to his downfall, and that he and his sons will die in the upcoming battle. They did indeed perish the next day at the hands of the Philistines, a chilling lesson against the seeking of supernatural and forbidden wisdom. In some mythological and symbolic traditions, chaos or primal creative forces have been associated with the feminine aspect and female deities. One common idea is that the primordial state of the cosmos is depicted as a formless, limitless void or an abyss, sometimes personified as a female figure. In Mesopotamian mythology, there exists a being embodying this abyss in all of its chaotic disorder. Tiamat, the primordial serpent goddess of the sea, a pre-existent entity that lurks at the edge of established order. We also have Eris, the Greek goddess of strife, discord, and chaos. She is best known for her role in starting a dispute between the other goddesses, subsequently starting the Trojan War and the judgment of Paris. In Hinduism, Kali is the divine female associated with time, change, and destruction. But beyond destruction, she is known as a powerful and fierce protector. The connection between chaos and creativity has always been strong, and the Greeks also had the Muses, who inspired and guided poets, artists, and musicians whose art was named after them. There seems to be this idea of the feminine being representative of unexplored potential, something that exists on the fringe of sight and understanding, whether it's in the sight of an individual or an entire culture. It's easy to see how and why this chaotic force is misunderstood and even feared. I think this is why the witch archetype has endured for so long. Women are naturally more empathetic and intuitive. In the past, being homemakers and gatherers of herbs and medicines, the distinction between using this knowledge for the good of the family and community or to cause its downfall became blurred. One can see the legends of the ostracized women of the community harboring ill intent growing as they did. But was there some validity to the stories of curses and black magic? Beyond the falsely accused and misunderstood, there are many women who have aligned themselves with dark forces with the intent to harness the chaotic powers. A more recent witch haunting took place in 1817 with what's become known as the Bell Witch Incident. John and Lucy Bell settled into an area known as Red River, Tennessee. But soon, strange events began to plague the family. They began to hear strange sounds, knocking against doors and on walls, and the sound of chains dragging could be heard coming from empty parts of the house, along with ethereal whispers. The family tried to rationalize the events until some turned into physical attacks and hair-pulling perpetrated against their young daughter. The entity identified itself as Kate Batts, a former neighbor who had been wronged by John in the past. However, this female entity became known as the Bell Witch, and she soon took aim at John exclusively. He became ill numerous times with strange symptoms, and he suffered with what appeared to be a curse for the rest of his days, battling strange sicknesses. The theme running through most, if not all, of these stories is that of vengeance by the practitioner and wanting power beyond the natural senses. But today, it is becoming fashionable and trendy to call oneself a witch. The title is worn with pride, and I can see the fear of the consequences slowly disappearing. If you haven't seen my video on the secret origins of Halloween and the Druids, click here and check out some of my other content, and I will see you all very, very soon.